Hi everyone, welcome to the Action Movie Show. It is May 26th, 2014. You mean it's not May 26th?
No, no, it is not.
Is it May 27th?
We're actually going to cut this joke short on account that everyone's on a bit of a truncated timeline. Mostly because that really means I'm actually doing some online course stuff, and ironically, talking about time management skills, I've botched my time management skills today, so let's begin with our movie of the week being, or well, technically last week, but this week as well, American Ninja.
Absolutely. Basically, we suck. Manyninjas really did have a time management issue, but in general, we had a time management issue this past week, so we will get right into it. American Ninja, 1985, produced by the Cannon Group, who also produced a bunch of other 80s action movies, like the sequels, several of the sequels to American Ninja. They did actually produce Cobra, which we covered previously, and also a couple of the Death Wish and Death Wish sequels. So they did have kind of a background in the 80s of doing a lot of these kinds of action movies. So we'll get right into it. We'll discuss a couple of different things. Manyninjas, non-spoiler review. How did you feel about American Ninja? And I'll give him a second just so he can set himself up. Um, for me, I'll just give my quick thing. It was very generic. Like there wasn't really a lot to it. What was kind of fun for me was almost how it felt self-conscious, how much they didn't try to act very well at all. And the beginning of it really cracked me up because it was probably the most generic military-sounding theme in the entire world during the opening sequence, which was brilliant in its own way.
Let's be honest here, the people who acted the best in this film, and I say best very loosely, were the majority of the ninjas in this film, because aside from attempting to attack people and getting killed off, at least they had the best overall performances rather than the generally flat acting for most of the people involved here. In terms of the, aside from the horrific acting aside, in terms of an action film, I'd say I found it entertaining, but it's pretty much an entertaining, maybe watch it once or twice kind of deal. You don't really need to see this thing. It's not exactly a classic film or classic film series. It just was kind of something that came out, and it was to fill in a gap in its time, namely a gap that was apparently of poorly acting ninjas.
Absolutely. Now, a couple of legitimate questions. We'll get into the plot real quick. I'll actually summarize it for you really fast. So Michael Dudikoff is the American Ninja. He's very mysterious at the outset, which is the excuse they use for the fact he has almost no dialogue at the beginning of the film. He's at the beginning, he's in the army, and he's not exactly getting along with his comrades. Real quick, like I said, in the spirit of zipping through, I'll outline the plot, and then we'll get right into it. So he is part of a convoy that is trying to take munitions, guns, and materials, as well as the commander's daughter or commandant's daughter, whatever. The person in charge of that particular military barracks or base, taking his daughter along with the munitions. So the daughter is hanging out in the lead car, and the munitions are all in these army trucks that are following in a big convoy. They get ambushed. The presumed idea is that they would have their stuff robbed. Later, within a little bit of the movie, they established that this is not unusual. There have been a lot of attempted hijackings and successful hijackings. Michael Dudikoff's character ends up picking a fight with one of them who tries to accost the general or the commandant's daughter, and this leads into a firefight, which then leads into kind of a massacre of a few of the American soldiers, as the bad guys have ninjas on their side. Why they have ninjas on their side, that is never established really. It just so happens that the leader, the person in charge who wants all these munitions, happens to have a ninja who then trains ninjas for him so that he has an army of ninjas. Makes perfect sense. And of course, action movie trope ensues. At some point, we have the damsel in distress where the daughter gets kidnapped. He ends up going on a pretty much a one-man crusade to save her, and then, saves the day. I'm not really spoiling anything for you really here, because if you've seen any action movie from the 1980s, I could have replaced ninjas with almost anything, and it would have been almost the same plot.
You forgot to mention that the American Ninja, who's really referred to just as Joe, also seems to have learned his relationship skills from Steven Seagal. I think that disturbed face you see up there, that's his idea of foreplay.
I was actually going to reference that. I was actually going to ask you a legitimate question, and since you brought it up, here's my question. Who emotes more effectively? Michael Dudikoff in American Ninja, or the master of foreplay himself, Steven Seagal in Under Siege?
I can say right now in the first film of the series, I'll just do a quick summary of some of the junk in the rest of the series as it goes on, because technically the series has, would you believe, 5 movies of this entertaining but absolute drivel of content. First film, I'd call it a draw, although for bits and pieces, Dudikoff does show a little more character, but not by much. Generally, his character throughout the films is really flat. Realistically, the star of this entire genre, or this entire series, will be illustrated in a later clip, but it's not any of the main American ninjas themselves.
That's fair enough. But yeah, we kind of the point that we want to make here is that we did enjoy the movie. Like, I watched it, I got a kick out of it, I laughed. But for the reasons that a lot of these 80s movies will make you laugh. At the beginning of the movie, they had, as I said, they had this extended, generic. Like, if I tell you I'm going to make like an army sequence, a vignette involving the army, or an RV movie, and I tell you it's the 1980s, this is the song you're going to play. And they did this for an extended sequence as the convoy kind of moves over, and they start kind of the opening sequence. So as I went through my plot review, basically, the other element of it is the American ninja's relationship with the other army recruits. At first, it's not very good because he doesn't get along with anybody. He doesn't talk. He doesn't say anything. He kind of walks away. We are then introduced to one of the characters who's one of the instructors, who ends up kind of befriending him and sort of becomes his sidekick. Now, I don't know. Is that the one that we've got a picture of now?
I just want to illustrate Figure A. Curtis Jackson, otherwise known as the real star of this series, as he's the only one with any real personality.
Yeah, so he's the one. I'm actually going to stay on you with this, since you've got him up on the screen there. Yeah, so the gentleman there that Michael Dudikoff is talking to at that moment, he's the guy. At the beginning, he's like everybody else, and during this scene, if you look at it, you've got the other army recruits behind there, and everybody is kind of in addition to him not being very talkative, Michael Dudikoff's character doesn't endear himself to them. But then on top of that, that ambush early on gets at least 4 or 5 of their comrades killed. So everybody's kind of mad at him because, going off and then resisting, because presumably what they established is that these convoys had been hijacked before. And generally it involved they would surrender the stuff, and then they would take the stuff, and nothing would really happen beyond that. So when he decides to resist because he goes for it, then it involves a bunch of those guys getting killed. They do manage to kill some of the ninjas as well. It does tell the ninja leader that he has some skills above and beyond the other soldiers, obviously. And it takes a while because our friend Joe here has amnesia. We do not discover until nearly the end of the movie the secrets behind where he acquired. Now I'm going to come back to myself here. Where he acquired these ninja skills. And now we'll go back to the ninja as he emotes.
All right. You want to know the reason why I say he's the real star of the series? Because in this main film, he's the only one with actual character, for starters, which gets established fairly early on after he's initially introduced, and seems to be the only one initially who understands what a ninja looks like, or apparently how one operates, when they originally discussed the whole massacre that happens at the initial trucking scene and kind of a takedown. He's also the only one to later on end up bringing people in order to help and recognize that his friend Joe is being attacked by ninjas. And he's the one who basically brings everyone to the enemy compound, which is being run by a weapons dealer who is supposed to be European, but quite frankly, it's kind of a tacky French kind of. I'm not even sure. I would say French accent he has on there.
It's a very heavy French accent from as far as I'm concerned.
And generally, he's the one who brings in everything and eventually blows him up on his helicopter with a rocket launcher that was originally stolen from the American base. But this goes further, as in the next film, both he and Michael Dudikoff make a reappearance to end up rescuing some Marines that had been kidnapped as part of a barely explained plot to make super soldiers, which subsequently is run in a compound that has whoever's running it also employing his own ninjas. And in the third film, we actually meet a brand new American ninja who happens to meet, would you believe on vacation, he meets Curtis Jackson at a martial arts tournament there, but because of some weird goings-on, both of them get roped into an odd conspiracy plot which involves biological weapons, and wouldn't you know, this scientist/terrorist happens to employ his own army of ninjas. By the end of the third film, he's asking, can we just fight someone new? Like some pirates or zombies or something else, just so he doesn't have to fight ninjas anymore.
I think that's a legitimate response.
Generally, he's the only entertaining thing throughout most of these films, because the main actors in the form of the American ninjas tend to be incredibly flat, which culminates in what realistically is the last real film in the series, the fourth American Ninja film, which stars both of the original American Ninjas from the other title. Unfortunately, Curtis Jackson is missing for that title, because he probably realized, I'm too tired for this shit. I want to fight someone new somewhere else.
And I think by that point in the series, I think he's completely justified in that feeling that way. The guy we're talking about was played by Steve James. Steve James is deceased at this point, but he was a legitimate martial artist who has a lot of film credits. He was in some other action movies as well. He was in the Delta Force with Chuck Norris, somebody else we've dealt with before. But yeah, no, he does a great job in it. It almost feels a shame that he was there. He has the ability. He did a great job, and then he kind of had to work with this. Like Michael Dudikoff, wasn't amazing. He wasn't horrific. Like, he was fine. You say to me 1985 action movie, Michael Dudikoff's acceptable, but it kind of makes you think, man, don't we have someone who can look the part and bring a little personality to the table?
He has some serious eyebrows. That's about it. It's important to be able to emote with a mask, but when that's all you can apparently do, it begs some questions about your artistic chops, or your acting chops, all I'm going to say on the matter.
He does have an intense stare, though, if you look at the picture.
Yes. And at least, unlike the bad guy, which has the creative name of, would you believe this? Black Star Ninja, because of a black star tattoo or something he has on one of his cheeks. At least in this case, the main character's ninja mask completely covers his face, instead of kind of hanging downward below the nose line, which at this point is like, what's the point? You're not even fully covering your face. And also on a related note, the ninja mask the Black Star Ninja is wearing in this film actually makes reappearances in later films, being worn by the head evil ninjas in those films. As I realized upon rewatching them, it's like, hey, I've seen that mask before. Why is this for, I think it was the fourth film, why is the evil, there's no way to sugar, why is the evil jihadist ninja wearing the exact same mask as the bad guy from the first film?
It's called budgetary considerations. They only had one mask.
Yeah. One mask and a bunch of multicolored suits, which, because the evil ninja compound, which had a bunch of ninjas wandering around, it was just an incredibly deadly-looking jungle gym playground setup, had a bunch of different color suits going on there. Oh, and because we didn't mention earlier, in case you're wondering exactly how Joe the American Ninja was trained, as it turns out, he was raised in the jungle by an elderly Japanese soldier who just happened to be present for the events of this film in the same general area as the vaguely French-sounding terrorist or weapons dealer as his personal florist. Yeah.
Who also never talks.
Yes.
Until he gets reunited with his pupil.
And which point he gets shortly killed, which then adds an additional revenge plot to this whole thing. Because, let's be honest, ninjas need revenge in order to work on. I know for a fact that I only get out of bed if revenge is involved. Otherwise, it's just not worth getting out of bed.
Vengeance. Clearly. Yeah, but that's the thing is, the fact that we can synopsize, I think that's the right word. Synopsize? Anyway, the fact we can do the synopsis of the entire film literally in a moment like that, and really, we're not leaving you out on a lot of details. We've explained the backup character. We covered the general's daughter, who is, I want to say general's daughter, but I don't feel like that's right. I know he's the commander of that barracks. So regardless, as the love interest, I suppose the only detail we've left out thus far is that part of the issue that Joe faces is, part of the odds that he's facing off against a squad of ninjas trained by this, Black Star ninja. And he's also having trouble dealing with presumably his own side, because the army guys, in particular his direct commander and then the one in charge, are actually working with the arms dealer. So they're basically on the payroll. And it's only at the end of the movie that the main guy brings in the army to try to save his daughter, because his daughter is kidnapped as part of the whole thing. And, this leads into the climactic battle. And then that's where the master gets killed. Revenge plot. So it all kind of, comes together. It's basically sewn up right at the end of the film. As all great 80s action movies are, it's always sewn up right in the last couple of minutes because we left a bunch of loose strings just floating around for most of the film.
Explosions tend to be the adhesive that brings films together. And this is no exception.
Ironic, since an explosion was what caused the amnesia thing, which is our excuse for no character exposition in the first half of the movie.
The explosion is part of the explanation behind why our main character can't act.
So was Steven Seagal in an explosion? Like a nuclear explosion? Like Hiroshima?
If you look at his waistline, you can see there was clearly an explosion there that has left his impact for years to come.
That's
yes,
me.
I went there.
I just want to say something. I'm looking at myself, and I wish that I'd been looking at you when you did your cackle. That's just mean.
Mean, but you have to remember something else. You know what that something else is?
Go ahead.
Foreplay.
Indeed. It's true. So let's see. We got our foreplay joke in. Steven Seagal. Oh, hold on. Very important.
Product placements.
Got it. Nailed it.
Well, it's probably good that we are on a truncated budget anyway, or truncated time schedule, because I think, last thoughts, generally this is an okay film. It's not a great film by any means. If you can watch it somewhere for cheap, then okay, fine.
This is a bargain. This is a bargain bin film.
Yeah, this is easily.
If you find it cheap, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth paying full price for. I can't honestly recommend, unless you really like just watching some temporary schlock just for entertainment value. I can't.
You know what? You know what? Let me throw something at you. You know what would probably work really well with this film? If they had one of those DVD multi-pack, we have the whole series for like $20 thing.
Yes, then I could recommend this. Well, at least the first 4 films, because I forgot to mention earlier, there technically is a American Ninja 5, but as it turns out, it was really another film with another name, and they just changed the name to American Ninja in order to just kind of further milk off the series. And it actually stars one of the characters that were one of the American Ninjas from the earlier film, but he's playing a role completely unrelated and with a different name to his original role in the series. So really, it's entirely disconnected and disjointed.
Yeah, I think that one's not even considered a sequel, really. It's just American Ninja by name only.
Yeah, it's American Ninja 5 is American Ninja by only by its name that they just tacked on there. It's not a legitimate thing. And I think, honestly, at this point, I think we're really done talking about this film, I think.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. This one, let me come back here for a second. Yeah, I would agree. I think this one here is simple enough. I think part of the reason why there's not really a lot to talk about.
I don't know what the hell that was.
That was my doorbell, which is fine. Except, actually, I will reveal a great secret about my doorbell. I think it's possessed. And you'll have to humor me on this.
Yep.
I'm going to go back to you for a second, and I'm going to show you why. All right. So I'm going to come back over here. Now, here's the thing. See, this is actually more interesting than talking about the movie. My doorbell is a wireless doorbell that operates very basically. All it is that you have a button that's a trigger. You push the button, and it triggers the doorbell, which is attached to one of the power outlets.
All right.
Cool. No problem. Here's the issue. Because the adhesive didn't work, and I haven't installed it back in yet, here's my doorbell.
Maybe it's got some faulty wiring or faulty batteries or something.
The thing is, no, I would bet you that something around me is hitting the signal. Because what happens is you push the button, it sends a wireless signal, which would set that off.
Yeah. In case it's still looking at me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if Carl's turned it back.
I'm going to go back to you.
Yeah. He's actually holding the doorbell in his hand because it's apparently it sticks on the wall so well that it's not on the wall, it's in his hand.
Yeah, I was actually on the screen. I was showing everybody the doorbell.
All right.
And I'm going to come back here for 1 second. And this will be the last we'll mention of it, but since it came up, I'm just going to play with it here. All right. So here's the thing. I think probably something around me, probably one of the neighbors or something, has something that's triggering it, because all you have to do is this. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yep.
If this was attached to my door.
Yep. All right. Well, I think barring anything else, shall we talk about what we're working on as of late?
Yes. Let's do that. And you're on you. And by the way, I didn't push that button again.
Yeah. Clearly, I think they're single issues. Anyway, aside from my my well-competent on botching of my schedule for the past week, technically we were actually supposed to do this recording even back on Friday, but due to some miscommunication, it was thought that I was out of town or in the city doing something else, when I was actually here all along.
I was misinformed.
Yeah. In terms of immediate things, there was actually very recent, and by very recent I mean today, a reveal of a new Mortal Kombat that's going to be coming out in 2015. So after I take care of all the pertinent things I need to do for my my online coursework today, I'll probably be putting out a video of my reactions and talking about some stuff that I noticed throughout the trailer that just came out, probably early tomorrow at some point, or early mid tomorrow. And otherwise, I'm still working on my Retro Ninja gaming stuff. Still doing some Super Nintendo related games, specifically the Final Fight series. I actually picked up a piece of hardware which should help out with that by allowing me to play with a proper Super Nintendo controller. Of course, I'm doing stuff on here on this particular channel. My main website is iam.manyninjas.com, and on Twitter, I am @manyninjas for my account.
Absolutely. Your shameless plugging was well done today. So, I'll be really brief. Obviously, we screwed up the schedule. So, we are actually shooting on a Monday, which is good. But it should have been last Monday. But what we'll do is we do have the video up today, and it's going to go up right on Monday. If you're seeing it on the first day, it's Monday. Otherwise, you'll be seeing it later. You can watch it whenever you want. Like, subscribe, leave comments, by all means. You can catch me at Twitter at KarlosAlcazar2 or carlosalcazar.org. I'll post these videos up. I'm going to make sure to be a little more diligent in putting links and things in the description, anything you might need to know there. To review real quick, just so you guys know, the next movie we were going to do was Jason Statham, Jet Li, War. We're actually going to shoot that episode probably in the middle of the week, and then I will post it before the week's over. So that should have been this week's movie. It will still be, but it'll be towards the end of the week, hopefully. After that, hopefully we'll shoot at some point before, as we get into Monday. The next movie we were going to do after War for our 20th episode was Bloodsport. So, Manyninjas, I think you've got something in your hands there?
Yeah, I'm carrying a copy of War right now, starring Jet Li and Action Bald Man, before their roles in The Expendables. So we're going to be probably talking about this midweek if everything goes to plan, and moving on from there, we're going to be going to Bloodsport. And after that, we'll be making up crap as we go along! Yes!
Absolutely. That's how you know. The kind of thoughtful forward planning. We did actually plan up until the 20th. We had figured that out. We knew what movies were going to happen. But after that, we commenced panic.
By panic, it really means we're going to probably watch something silly. I personally vote for the live-action Street Fighter movie. At least I would if I had it. I need to get that. It stars Raul Julia, you know.
I'm back on me, looking at you. Do you see the look on my face?
Oh, I just realized something else I haven't mentioned this week.
Go ahead.
Crinkle cut fries and rippled chips. Best stuff ever.
I'm back on me.
We've covered all the horrible things we do during a weekly episode here. And we've done it in record time because we've kind of had to.
Yeah. So, I'm not even going to put my glasses back on. There's no point. Forget it. Not going to happen. I give up. We do apologize for the first shorter version. Actually, this movie, to be honest, it actually would have been about this length anyway, because the way the movie worked out, we had about as much to talk about as Michael Dudikoff had emotional responses. So, what are you going to do? The man fights ninjas. He beats ninjas. He gets the girl, presumably, we think. And him and the black guy will come back for a couple of sequels.
Reminder, Curtis Jackson is the real star of the series.
Absolutely. If you ever get a chance, you should look up. Like I said, I think I said his name was Steve James. I think that's the correct. Yes, yeah. Steve James. Yeah. Definitely look into his other stuff, because he was in other movies as well, and he was a legitimate martial artist who really did know what he was doing, and he probably deserved a little bit better than this series being.
He should be known more than this. This is it's work he did because it's kind of a paycheck is involved, but it wasn't exactly the right movie. He did much better work than this, so please do. I'm sorry, what was the name again?
Steve James.
Please look up Steve James' other work so you can have a more full picture of what he did during that era, and later on, of course.
Absolutely. So that'll do it for us at the Action Movie Show. So now you guys know. It's going to be War, hopefully before the end of the week. And then Bloodsport, hopefully next Monday. And then what we'll do is we'll figure out the rest of it. Between one of those two episodes, we'll let you know what's coming up afterwards. And the other thing is, at some point, I think we'll have a short clip where we'll do a short video. I like to do this type of video because it's longer form. But at some point, we'll do a short video, recorded and edited, where we'll possibly have a discussion on the merits of rippled potato chips, because that is a passion of Manyninjas that few people know, much to my horror and dismay.
Indeed, that'll be an entertaining topic for another day. But once again, thank you all for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be sure to catch you all technically later this week for the next action movie show, plus the stuff on our respective channels. And see you all later. Have a good night. If anyone needs me, I have some online course stuff I need to wrap up. Online quizzes and use of stuff that I don't remember what I just read earlier today. Good times and panic times. Mostly panic times. What the hell am I doing with this stuff? Dear God. God help us all.
I could have interrupted him at any time. I really didn't see any reason to. And you'll notice I haven't even bothered to put the glasses back on. I don't wear them for fashion. It makes the screen blurry, so I don't actually have to look at what's actually going on. It's entirely unnecessary. So have yourselves a great evening. We'll be back for the action movie show. Bye.